Hey Maker, if you can't tell, I am knee deep in prep for my virtual conference, Laser MakerCon. And this week I came up with an adorable little giveaway and gift that I'm making, which are these adorable printed, oops, let's see, hold on here, baseball keychains with the LMC logo on them, and I love them so much. So if you want to know how I did them, then stick around and I'll show you. Hey there, if you're new here, my name's Emily. I'm also known as That Mom with the Laser, and I'm the brand ambassador for Eon Laser USA. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how I created a jig on my laser. I cut the jig and then I set it up in my printer so that I could print on these little adorable keychain baseballs. In addition, I'm in the middle of fiber lasering these mocha pots. We call them cafeteras if you're Cuban, all right? But I hope you can see how cool does that look? And these are gonna be gifts that I give away at Laser MakerCon, only the best virtual conference there is, hello, for like lasering. So if you're not registered for that, you're gonna wanna head over. It's a free event, don't miss it. And somehow I'm squeezing in a tutorial to show you how I put these together. So are you ready? Let's go.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to create my jig in LightBurn. I like to do it that way just because I'm a lot faster in LightBurn. So I'm gonna create the jig here, and then we're gonna create the print file in Adobe Illustrator. So what you see right here is my template for my print bed, okay? PDS, when they came and they set up the Mimaki, they also imported a bunch of files and templates, and one of them is like the template for the whole print bed and the print space. So I took that PDF a long time ago and I just adjusted it so that I could always use this as a simple template when I'm making a jig. So this outline here is the size of my actual print bed, okay? These little holes are just a few of these screw holes available on the print bed so that if I want to screw the jig down, I can. And this right here, I made that a tool layer because I just needed something visually to let me know what was the actual print space versus, you know, table size, all right? So I'm gonna get my circle feature here. I'm gonna hold down the shift key and I'm gonna make a perfect circle. And I used my calipers to measure my baseball here. And what I wanna create is a little hole for this to sit into on the jig, okay? So when I measured it, I have about an inch, give or take. I'm gonna make it slightly smaller because I wanna make sure that the ball doesn't touch the bottom. Hopefully that's small enough. And now I'm gonna use my array feature to create 35 holes for my 35 baseballs, okay? So we're gonna go 7 by 5, and I can space these out more, and you're gonna see why in just a minute, but I'm gonna space them out as far as I can on the print bed, and the same on the y-axis. That looks good. I'm gonna grab all of that and I'm gonna center it. Looks good. And now what I wanna do is I wanna create a channel in between all of the holes because I don't wanna have to take off the hardware here. Thankfully, that was my plan, but my team member, Sarah, she's like, why don't you just create a little channel so it'll sit a little lower? Because if these are level, this is actually higher than this, and my printer won't get to the right head height, okay? So we're gonna go here to the rectangle tool, and I'm gonna cut a rectangle. And I want the channel to be about 2 inches wide because that's how much space I need for this guy. And then I'm gonna use my array feature and center them as best as I can. Oop. That looks pretty good. Okay, let me group those together. Grab everything and bullseye all of it together. Beautiful. Okay, so this is my jig. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export it as an SVG and I'm gonna import it into Adobe Illustrator. Now, I'm sure you could build the jig out in Adobe, but like I said, I am faster doing it here. This took me 2 minutes, give or take, right?
in Adobe because I'm not as seasoned in the software. It just takes me a lot longer, okay?
All right, so I've imported my SVG into Adobe Illustrator. Now I'm going to grab everything and group it together. Then I'm gonna head over to, I'm gonna click off of it and I'm head over to edit artboards, and I'm gonna title this one, instead of artboard 1, we're gonna make this baseball keychains jig cut, right? Because this is my cut file. All right, but now I also want to duplicate the artboard. So I'm going to create a new artboard. And this one is going to be my baseball keychains jig print file. Okay, done. So I'm going to take this that I grouped earlier and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it to this artboard. Perfect. Now I'm going to take my image and then I have to line it up on my circles here so that I can create the print file. So I'm going to import that file. I'm going to go to place, all right? With Adobe Illustrator, if you're like me and you're not used to it, when you want to import, you're actually using place and not import. All right, so I've got my image. I'm going to go ahead and make it a lot smaller. And let's zoom in here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my image and then center it on the circle. And here's the thing, if I ungroup this, I could try to get it perfectly centered by using the alignment tools, but I always run into this. In LightBurn, I have a bullseye and it doesn't move my jig, but here it does and I don't know how to fix it. So if I align it vertically, it moved my red circle, which I don't want. So we're gonna go back and I'm just gonna do this the hard way. Because that's what I can trust and that I know, all right? So I am just going to duplicate it all the way down. I'm gonna make sure it's perfectly centered. Then I will group all of my images and I will duplicate them across the jig. All right, so I've centered them all, and I have been working on ways to make this more efficient, but I have not mastered them yet. So if you have suggestions, by all means, it may be things that I've been trying, but I haven't mastered yet. So you could let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna group all that together, and now I am going to duplicate them or copy and paste. Okay, all the way through, and then line them up, and then we will have our print file and our cut file. All right, so I've centered them all, and I have been working on ways to make this more efficient, but I have not mastered them yet. So if you have suggestions, by all means, it may be things that I've been trying, but I haven't mastered yet. So you could let me know in the comments below. I'm going to group all that together, and now I am going to duplicate them or copy and paste. Okay, all the way through, and then line them up, and then we will have our print file and our cut file. Okay, so now that I have them all, you can see I've grabbed all of my groupings, and now I'm just going to make sure I've got them all aligned to the top. And I'm going to double check, but it looks like they are all looking pretty centered enough, you know. Looks good. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to come to this artboard. I'm going to go to my layers. And I'm going to find the one that is for the whole jig, and I'm going to hide it. And there you go. So now I have my cut file and my print file in one master file in Adobe Illustrator. So we're going to send the jig over to Laser, we're going to cut it, and we're going to export the print file as a PDF, and then I'm going to open that up in RasterLink and print them once I have the jig ready.
Okay, so whenever I cut cardboard for a jig, I always use my compressor just because it helps you know, keep it a lot cleaner and it's a lot safer. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my compressor, bring that up to air, and, you know, cut the jig. All right, so if you're wondering why my bed is looking so bare, I have been cleaning out my blades here because I started working on engraving hats. Oh my gosh, and I'm totally working on a tutorial for that. But if you're not subscribed and you want to see that, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So half of the, you know, the blades that I've been cleaning are out of the bed. All right, thankfully I've got some nice flat cardboard. I get this this is cardboard that I recycle from IKEA. I love IKEA cardboard. In my opinion, it is the best. All right, let's go ahead and get into focus. But because I don't have my blades in, I need to make sure that if I do autofocus, which I am gonna do, that my laser head is right over a blade, because otherwise it would push the cardboard down and then we could have a whole disaster here. But I trust myself. There we go. All right, so now we're in focus. I'm gonna frame the job and then we'll get it cut. All right, that looks great. There we go. Okay, so now I can set my jig up. There we go. And now, if you've seen my TikTok where I make business cards with this, I like to use cardboard for business cards because the paper, especially in South Florida, will warp with the humidity over time. So when I use a cardboard jig and I'm doing something as thin as business cards, I need screws that are, you know, they're flat, right? So that when I screw them in, they're not higher than the business cards. But for this, it doesn't matter because my little baseballs are pretty, you know, they're pretty big. So I'm just gonna use these little screws that PDS provides when you get your printer, and that'll secure the jig in place. And that's why I cut the screw holes. So it just makes it easy. I'm just gonna put 2 in. I don't need to do the whole thing. But now it's nice and set. So now I need to test whether or not these holes are big enough. See, so now this will sit in here, and now it's lower than my ball. And that's actually pretty good. See, the tricky thing about these balls is that they're not, if you take a look, I mean, it's a baseball, it's very squishy, so it's not very level. And this is what I'm trying to work with. So we'll see if I can pull this off. But I want to make sure that it's going to stay put. That one's staying put. Let's see if I put in some others, if I have the same, you know, results, because they're so inconsistent. See, like this one, it's a little wobbly, although this one's perfect. So maybe I should have made those holes a little smaller. I don't know, but what I am gonna do, just to make, I don't wanna run into this. It needs to, I guess it's okay. I don't know. That seems risky to me. So I'm gonna cut another jig to raise it just ever so slightly more. This way it's not gonna wobble, because right now it's touching the bottom and it's not sitting into it the way that I wanted it to. Okay, so I had just enough cardboard to create a second jig, and let's see if now, if it'll sit in there nicely. That's nice and smooth. Let's try another one. There we go. See, now I don't have the wobbling issue. All right, so maybe this cardboard was just too thin, or I just needed to make my holes a little smaller. So I'm gonna tape this down, and then let's go ahead and set up the file.
Also, even though I used my compressor, I wonder if you can see there's a little bit of soot on there. So I'm gonna take some alcohol and I'm gonna wipe the inside of my cardboard. Cardboard is always sooty. It's a lot better when you use an external air compressor, but you know, still you can't get away from it. So I'm gonna just kind of wipe these really quickly so that they don't stain my little baseballs, although I could just wipe it off after. Whatever, this is my solution in the moment. Now, if I don't know, if these take off, or let's say some baseball moms go crazy and then I find myself doing these all the time, now I've kind of perfected what I need to do, right? And I would make it out of acrylic and then I wouldn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. All right, so I'm in here in RasterLink. I've imported my file. Now, if I were printing on a different color material that wasn't white, I'd want to create a white plate, but because I'm just printing on white material, I don't need to do that, okay? Meaning a white layer underneath before I add the print and the color. But again, I don't need to do that. This is actually pretty simple. All I want to do right now is test that everything's lining up, and my test is just going to be printing on one of them. So I'm going to head over to the crop feature, and I'm going to crop this down just to this one. That's the only one I want to run. If this lines up, then I'm pretty confident that everything else I did will line up properly. So I'm just going to head on over to go and push start. That's it. If that's good, then I'm going to come back here. I'll decrop it, if that makes sense, okay? And I'll run everything and be done with it. And hopefully I did it right, okay? So let's go ahead and test it and see what happens. All right, so just a note here, if you don't want the bed to take forever going up and down, in this case I'm working with something rather thick, you can go into menu, head height, and then here you can set the table height. So basically, you know, I measured the distance and I brought it up a lot closer so that it doesn't take forever to get into focus. All right, so I'm just gonna test one. And I want it to be right there. Now again, these aren't even, so it's kind of tricky. And it's a little trippy on the eyes, but let's see how it goes. All right, moment of truth here. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. How freaking cute. I can't wait. All right. Now, you know, let's hope everything else lines up just like this one did. Let's go for it. So none of the balls are like even. So as I'm setting them down, I'm trying to make sure that, you know, it's positioned in a way that my logo is going to fall as centered as possible on it, which is tricky. But we're making it work. And you see how creating this little channel saved time from not having to, you know, remove the hardware.
much. Like, I just, you know, figured out a new product. Wait till I show this to all of my like baseball moms. Who knows what they're gonna wanna put on this, but it's gonna be adorable. I love them so much. Well, my friends, that's all I've got for you today. Earlier, my son came over with his buddy. He was on a play date, and they stopped by and they helped me package all of these. So if you happen to win one during our giveaways and it's not packaged, you know, like ever so perfectly, then you know why. Otherwise, I hope you got a ton out of this. Don't miss Laser MakerCon. It's gonna be an awesome event. And if you watch this after that event, then just get on the wait list so you don't miss the 2026 Laser MakerCon, okay? If you want the PDF for this or if you want the file, I am gonna include it in the description box below. Just click on the link and I'll send one over to you. And with that, I'm wishing you every success in your entrepreneurial journey. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos, and I'll see you guys here soon over at That Mom with a UV printer and a laser and all the other toys. Bye, guys.